My people, a slave and a captive are not necessarily the same. A slave is an opportunity, not an oppressed or innocent person. Slave minded people, I am going to be blunt today. I cannot be sorry for it will be necessary, seeing that you will not fix the problem. The nature of hateful humankind is avarice and greed. Love is mostly never at the center. He creates an evil and then he goes out on a quest to make that dream be established because of that evil ideal he created. He takes his journey by mere way of mind, by planes and boats and trains, but they'll get by to make their trip to Paris or Rome or Africa for loot to go home and weary on their journey, but they still have to travel by mechanical vessels or by beast of burden. Beast of burden will be the opportunity in the middle of what seems like nowhere, trying to get there. They have to get there, so they will ride on a jackass. Jackass is an opportunity. They will ride on a camel or a horse. What wonderful servitude beast. But the bevel horn bull, they decide to pass on that, seeing it is not an opportunity. That devilish beast, if you try and sit on its back to ride, it has a scary tendency of placing those horrible beveled horns exactly at where your butt would sit. And it never turns out as better than a cruel loss. So, no opportunities there. In the one that was not a passive creature, there was no opportunity. Your best friends in life are often your worst enemies. The lines are drawn, the mutual effect, and the lion does not want to go hunt the tiger. No, he'll try the deer. He'll go hunt the goat. He will respect the tiger so that they won't have to both be ripped to kingdom come. And then there be no peace in the one-sided paradise that satisfies all that want to be the gods on this earth plane. We live on a hell plane, but only the slaves do not know the rules. My beloved, please listen and stop getting angry at truth. Years ago, when you were typing that document, Microsoft Words would pop up and tell you to avoid the passive voice that you are writing in. But many of you figured that it was just a superficial thing. No, it was not. It is the most powerful and potent value of reasoning in the planes of all creation. Listen, do you know why men ride horses, camels, and all these jackasses, but never that beastly devil, bevel, horned bull? It is not an if and it is not a but. It is definitive that even those that will go to hunt, to pray, and to seek their own greatness must protect their butts from those that defend against the bending of their personal will. It is Skywalker here with you again. We go back to the sins of past and present, and we raise topics to raise the spirit, to absolve a part of the blame and to add a part of the blame. All day, every day. You go figure. Did I tell you that the best friendship is where the lines of battle were drawn? Those in the Cold War that walk on tiptoes around the domain of others, seeing that middle finger, but will never act as if he can do shit about it. Bad as he is, because, hello, the opportunist goes to take the opportunity, not to be the opportunity, to suppress and take, not to be suppressed and taken. Like in Jamaica, they say the gunman goes to shoot up, not to shoot out. A thief with 18 bullets in his clip plus additional ammo does not go near the house where a man has one revolver that almost works with one bullet if he knows that the guy will shoot. He will rather do the standoff thing and look for safer opportunities better than what comes with a cap up his rear end. I have seen a shooter begging for his life and screaming, "Please don't shoot me," even telling the other person that shooting people is wrong. Humans are hypocrites, and knowing this is a part of our learning here. Your sense of morality does not appeal to the wicked, so either you do your due diligence or you sit and pray to God. Prey, mean. By the time you open your eyes, you will find that you were praying to the same one you wanted God to save you from, and you will find that he was actually in the place that you expected God to be. Man, listen. If you don't have God around to help, use the faculties that God gave you to do God's work, including using the bevel hand technique. You know, the thing that the bevel hand bull taught you. Who is the real enemies? The real enemies are friends that give too much, friends that are too kind, friends that sacrifice self, the passive ones that believe because they are kind, it will change the nature of evil humankind, and then he will become as kind as they are. It is a weakening effect. It does not work that way. He is the enemy to his own children, but tells God that he did well and so deserves the blessing. By the time he opens his eyes, he will see that it was the one that took the opportunity for his own, protected his own, that received the blessing. The one that took the opportunity for his own and protected his own received the blessing. If he is an objective thinker, he will change and begin to take opportunities. If he is a slave, he will still be waiting on God. What did the Japanese do about Hiroshima? Slaves need to serve higher powers. Masters must be the higher powers. Take a slave religion and impose yourself as God in it, and you can give the slave your musket, plus the whip you used to lash him with, to safe keep for you until you finish your lunch break. Then you can return and take the whip and lash him back to work. He will fall down and worship you. The man who is objective will learn from being in captivity. It will make him stronger. How did the Japanese treat the experience of Hiroshima? I ask. How do the people of China and of Asian regions treat their experiences? Not everyone under a whip is a slave. A whip cannot magically make a man a slave. A slave was a slave, and the opportunity saw in him an opportunity, just like a jackass was an opportunity to ride, and you would never have to walk your damn feet off. It was already seen that the jackass was a slave. Although the deer was doing good, feeding to make milk for its young one, the lion comes and destroys her to take her flesh to the young lions. If the lion does not care about morality, the fact that he is grieving goodness and vexing your image of God is not going to help you. What is going to help you is what you will do with hands of God given to you to protect you by, and given to you by God. A slave protects his tormentor by sacrificing his children to them. What of his children? Opportunities do what they do. Opportunists do what they do. And unfortunately, not every opportunist finds use for empathy on hell planes. Moreover, suppose this opportunist hates you the way the Fulani that rule Nigeria hates Nigerian people. Think about that. The humankind is evil first, regardless of what they tell you, and then everything else comes after. Every creature that tears flesh in order to feed is evil. You cannot live on sacrifice unless you are evil. The evil comes first. You do not get to stay in the hell plane because you are ready for a higher plane. You have to learn about good and evil. He gives lip service to love and high vibrational things that he cannot feel or conceive, or that the little that he feels seem so humongous that he believes he deserves sainthood now. There was this guy who came from a high society in the past and had learned much love and empathy, who knew war but not enough. The day this opportunist came to his home, ran around his bushes assaulting his daughters in the most grievous ways and playing like he is entitled, what you think will happen? This fool forgives the evil opportunist in return for trinkets. He sold the front of his daughters for a face image trinket in his house. This is where a separation was made between opportunity and oppression. For if he likes, he will compare himself with the guy who told those bastards that not even for a universe of trinkets would he consider that. See, the thing about being objective is that you cannot fake it. He will talk so big, and then you see him submitting to trinkets, his face in the dirt, his ass in the air, and higher powers hovering over him, even from behind. You can never be deemed innocent by you giving love to others and not protecting those you have priorities to protect. If it is your house, you have no room to ask at what cost may you protect it. Only a slave does that. Now, are humans different from humans? Though I keep explaining that there is mindset cultivation in all things. A man with the most intelligent mind and the greatest hidden powers can be the most docile depending on his culture. His mindset that was cultivated because of his name, what was given to him, his culture. It is hard for a person in a certain culture to see why stoning a woman for not being a virgin on her wedding day is evil. But he will watch with glee and say, "Pass me the popcorn." Change that norm and soon he will scream for the world to save his woman from tyranny. There are cultures that create passive mode mindsets, and there are cultures that are more objective. It is not indiscernible. It is easy to see the faults in all cultures and in all tenets of their principles. Let me show you something very interesting. What is a passive mind? It is the mind of the subject. He is not an objective being. His mind is cultivated to subject. He is inherently a servant, a slave even. An objective mind is the mastermind. He takes charge, and if he is not that alpha force which takes power in your state, the state will go down, for the passive tone will ever invite the opportunist. He only comes for the opportunity, for silver, diamond, for gold, and to own and trade the human soul. The more he has, the more he wants. And when the objective being holds to servitude, the subjective being he will never let go. For who does not want to live easy while others provide for him everything he likes? Humankind was evil, even when he was piping his own horn. So there you have it. There is a man who is objective in his will, who will not take for himself and watch as his people will suffer. There is a man who will take trinkets to make himself look better among his people, but he will ignore the failing of his state. Since being the observer here on this earth, I see passive-minded creatures that worship their oppressors literally and watch their people serve. They are the ones that instill in their populations the mindset of slaves, and then they look better among their own while thinking about the future for their personal children. The first time that I recognized the Jamaica Governor General's prayer to the Queen of England, I could hardly eat for 2 days, for it struck me quite hard. I see the way of the human heart, and I ask, is there slavery or is there a passive mind? Is there the oppression or is there opportunity? For since being here and in all these years of observation, I see the lions gather where there are those that pray. I see the lions gather where there are those that are prey, not where there are those that conquer and are objective about it. Oh, we see a scare to Guyana coming from Venezuela, but what would happen if they switch around Russia? If say we switch around Russia and Guyana, so now Guyana is not there anymore, but Russia is on the border. You would hear only silence around that corner, I bet you. A pit bull loves to cross lands to piss on a little poodle's grass, and the poor pup will wait until it recrosses the line before barking. But the pit bull sees the lion and screams for help, although the lion wasn't paying it any mind. Humankind is evil and opportunistic. Oh, I said I wanted to show you something that might open your eyes to a new perspective. Although by now the emotional ones are angry. Sometimes emotions, even love, in the passive mind is more dangerous than evil itself. I remember staying in the mighty United States of America for a number of years, and me, being Jamaican, did come with my own sentiments. For you know how Jamaicans are. They are an intrinsic people, and I will tell you why I say this. Jamaicans are bombarded with the passive-minded spells more than anyone else, maybe except Haitians or Nigerians. For the 144 portal sits in a land of 144 square miles. This portal that shall open up is where the ancient originals are hidden in the bosom of the earth. Only that 144 portal will bring accessibility to the higher light. Only at 144 are they chosen, are they elected. 144,000 voices will be heard. Don't worry, I will get out of this rut of a tangent and find my way back to the topic. These things often happen to people like me. Our minds do mess around and psychiatrists cannot help us. The leaders of Jamaica should make legislation set aside to handle the future coming of traffic to the Jamaican shore, to stop those that come with their malcultivated modes, for the crime and violence from within might be dangerous now, but people easily buy into stuff where it seems that they will begin to prosper. People will be deported, people will beg to be deported, and people will run back home from other countries. That will be a dangerous influx coming in the future and not too far. And here I go as usual, for I just said the word Jamaica and first I heard the name Kamala Harris. Is that her name? But she is from the US. Why her? I know she has nothing to do with Jamaica, but I heard her name. And then I heard Lee Kuan Yew, but it was spoken the way you speak a joke, like when someone was teasing someone in a light way, like an athlete teases another saying, you think you are Usain Bolt, and it's a joke. Maybe someone teased Shakari Richardson before, saying, you think you are Shelley and Fraser, and there you have it. Someone's obsession is not letting them back down. I was brought to the 555 portal when I said the word Jamaica. And at the 555 portal, where there is a matter of integrity and there is greed, for where do people say I am satisfied now? At what stage? And I can sacrifice for this. At what stage do they say I am satisfied now that I can sacrifice for this, for the people? Humankind is awful and they get to lead. And there is fairly good advice here though at this portal. Not the best advice, but anything can work with a cohesive effort, especially at portal 555. Then at 444 I see an incoming flood and celebration. I see celebration. I wish that came true. I won't stay at this topic though. It's a pop up as I spoke about Jamaica. I am weird, people. I am weird, I know. Let's get back to the topic. But who the hell studies another personality? Lee Kuan Yew is a great name. I give you that. Sometimes a childish or sometimes childish endearments do have their positive rewards. Now, we were speaking about the subjective and objective tone, passive and active vices, that one is fit for servitude, which any opportunist wants of the world around him, that he be the only potent power as a lion in the jungle. The one that is objective and bears the alpha mode is fit for lordship, and he wants to be of an elite kind. Therefore, he must be few in numbers. This is the way of Earthworld, not necessarily a right or wrong, but just a prevailing wind. But when we become oppressed, whose fault it is? The bevel horn bull sits in his grass, maybe a piece of crotch cloth and a few balls dangling from its horns like trophies, but it lives in peace, out there chewing cud contentedly. You bad boy, you Cretan bull terrorist. The sheep, he is out there, can't find his freaking way as usual, not looking for ways to protect his little ones, but looking at how to please the shepherd so they can give him grass that he is already sitting in. Talking about no damn shepherd leads him to green pastures when grass is everywhere under his feet. He sits there wondering at what o'clock the grass will come today. Now, in America, I was introduced to basketball in a more personal way when I went to watch the boys from Boston play, and the Star Spangled Banner, as usual, preceded the game. It came by the electrifying words of objectivity. A soldier in alpha mode was passing off, and he was a flag bearer, but he was standing in that alpha mode to the last breath. He had a will and a purpose, and he was defying any surrender, for he was no slave. His flag was not going to fall, not even over his dead body. This is an objective creature. This is the mind of he who is objective, actively creating his will, not groveling as a passive fool. You get what you ask for by word and by deed. This is the great anthem of great country. And then there was no call to beg God for anything. For what man in his active vice will do is what God will do. What God has done is what man in King Alpha state has done as the Alpha and Omega. He declares the affirmation that God bless America. It is no question but an affirmation. As the observer, I listened, and my heart applauded their great fathers. My reaction was pride for the wisdom of these souls on earth. I was elated to see this, and tears rolled down just to know that the understanding of how to create is still on the earth. They still understand how to create down here. Although I give you this, it is only given to a few. For people see and they don't know. That's why the gods are more special. This is what I came here to see. What vice do you use to speak to your children, you kings and gods out there? For they will become by words that you use to them. A slave does not know what a man is capable of, and therefore his capability is to serve another. And because we suppress the alpha, that objective being, by the ways we prescribe the mediocre mindset, we offer up our nations to greater gods, and then we say they oppressed us. This is what promiscuous women do, telling lies about I said no, but he forced me all day. Here is what we found in my country, Jamaica. So they tell us that the national anthem is so beautiful because of a drum roll sound that goes pum, like Jamaica, pum, Jamaica, pum. No objective reasoning necessary. And it is not a comfortable thing to know better and then stand attentive. to a passive mode where the national fins for hands begging for all anthem. I heard the words of this song even as a child, and the image which came to mind was a penguin because it had the fins for hands. Maybe that's why they taught us to stand up like penguins then. If you are standing there only to ask God, but not helping God by using the hands that God gave you to help by, then you are a slave. When they whip you, you do for them, but never for you. This is very sad. The song begs God for blessing and never says to God that I do this or that. It is passive, 100%, almost as if someone with knowledge planned it as a deliberate passivized spell, or unless it came from the vice of a slave. Can you build an objective nation by using the vice of a slave? No way you can. You will create a slave mindset. The song did not tell of someone desperately clinging to a book of wisdom as the flag bearer desperately kept the flag aloft. It was begging God for wisdom and vision lest we perish. Read a book. Read a book. Read a book and tell God you read a book today, man. The bevel horn bull kept free from evil powers, and a man without balls is somewhere out there to prove it. He can testify to it because he was testified to it. Nothing that is so passive will work. I learned that as a child, seeing that everywhere the hens were gathered, the cocks came chasing them. But they likened the hens to that P word, and you know its denotations. But to make them slaves, as soon as you have power over the shackled ones, you give them a call to break the objective minds to that of the submissive, to make them believe in their inferiority. But there are those that cannot and will never be broken, for their legacy is Alpha. From Ghana to Jamaica, many were taken, and many they tried to break in Haiti, so that even their own fought against them. In Nigeria, they put those that hate them to rule over them and to suppress the wisdom and the power of Igbo. They were in Jamaica then, and the white masters called them Jew boys. They were the Igbo boys, suppressed and alienated in their own lands. But the leaders that rule in Nigeria hate those that are in Nigeria. So one Nigerian leader will gladly sell 1 million Nigerians, especially the Igbo, for 2 Fulani cows and 20 naira. But for this, they expect the strength of collective security. If the Igbo ruled their own domain, there would be no Nigeria. There would be heaven there. They try their best to make the objective ones the slave, but it will not happen. But the slaves hold down the objective ones of their own masses. Did you know about the shipload of Igbo penises that was found in China a couple years ago or so? It was over 2,000 of them. They are physically bashed and sold, but they are never yet broken. This is the difference between the slave and superior beings. He is still the mighty Hebrew, the Igbo. In that spot where today sits Nigeria, they protested the abolishing of the slave trade, claiming that it would destroy their economy, so they wrote a petition to Britain. Yet, never did they see protecting their people as even more important. Slave minds make slave decisions, and sometimes we view opportunity as oppression. We get emotional and angry about truth that we don't like, and so we don't solve them. Instead of being objective enough to fix them, we curse and blame others. So, they took God's spells to the minds of the people in the attempt to create the mediocre mindset. telling them subliminal deceptive truths about their image, their hair, their noses, their skin color, and their connection to God, who is their master or Lord, who looks British, and that everything that is great or beautiful or even acceptable looks like their Lord Jesus or their Lord slave master. Even the dollies in their hands of their daughters, nowhere would their looks be made good sense of. They do that for subliminal effect. But tell me who enforces these things. Some woman from Montego Bay sitting in Parliament who has nothing good to say about the looks of an African's hair, but she does not even have her own. And I will give you a tip. She is not white. Maybe there is some Indian in there. Hello. If you do not know who you are, if you do not know who you are, is the slave oppressed or is the slave opportunity? Remember what happens where the pussies are gathered. You are tempting the opportunist, and he is having a hard time, for this is a hard one for him. He knows how valuable the gift of your child can be for his children. You running around chopping wood and fetching water, but whose fault is it? If you don't figure it out, you will fetch a lot more wood and buy your own gold with money you don't have. Talking about people oppress you. You oppress your children. You spit in the face of God. In the same breath you use to claim that others oppress you, you worship a person sitting on a throne in England and thank them for the privilege of governorship over the 144 square miles of your own country, Jamaica, and calling it crown land with your own slave mouths, and you think they shouldn't take that gift of your legacy that you so freely offer. Get the fart out of here. Boo. You deliberately help to dispossess your own masses so they can now be used as slaves to work for foreigners and foreign shores. You say it is the hotel program, the farm program, or whatever. The only one who is happy there is the slave you call a liaison officer. It is cheaper for the white man to pay one liaison officer well than to pay 1,000 slaves near reasonable wages. But you say that others oppress you. To date, you have not been able to find one of theirs who will sell all their own for personal benefit, for they can see the simple maths. It does not truly work, but then passive minds don't think well, do they? A passive mindset is always to submit. A woman with a passive mind is usually called that O word. She submits to all and sundry because she feels inferior. And when she declares her freedom, she only submits some more and claim it is to her benefit. So you sell more to claim your benefit. And when you are finished selling your butthole, you have nowhere to pass out the waste matter but through your rib cages. What a whirling twirl. It is not good to have so many submissive men and women in leadership. No. They talking about going to negotiate, singing a very submissive song of intent, a national submissive slave-moded anthem. Anyway, there is a few objective ones being raised, and this is good. And this is why I had that pop up earlier. At least to that degree for Jamaica. I don't know if it is a surprise or shocking, but there is a few objective ones being raised. I am not sure yet. Well, maybe I am, but I don't want to make a comment. Lee Kuan Yew, you say, and think we can't hear you, right? You think we couldn't hear you? Just take this as confirmation. It is a confirmation. Peace out.